play now, so those can get the recording that can't attend live. A shout out to Deb Bauer. For those of you who don't know Deb, some of you might not know Deb. Deb is one of our mentors. And Deb, perhaps you can come on and quickly introduce yourself in 2 seconds flat.
Hi, I'm Deb. I'm Deb Bauer. I live in southeastern Pennsylvania in the United States. And I don't know how to cover it in 2 seconds, but my bio, everything's in the group. So I'm glad to be here.
Yeah, so Deb is highly, highly experienced in so many different areas, but her speciality is blind and deaf dogs, of which you have how many at the moment, Deb? Three?
I have two going on three.
Two going on three.
Yeah, I have my senior is losing both hearing and vision.
All right. Okay.
And my other two, here's my puppy. She needs some screen time too.
She's so sweet. So that's Deb's speciality, but she's highly qualified in so many different areas, including T-touch practitioner. What else, Deb? You obviously a qualified behaviorist and trainer.
Yeah, I'm a certified trainer. I also do some craniosacral, essential oils, tuning forks, those kinds of things.
Lots of lovely holistic tools as well. So we're really happy to have Deb as on our team as one
Yeah,
of our mentors. So thank you, Deb. Thanks for being
glad to
here.
be here.
Thank you. And Kelly, most of us know Kelly, but Kelly, you can have a quick hello. Yeah.
Hi. I'm not prepared to say anything right now.
You don't have to be.
I barely made it here and there's chaos around me, so I have to stay muted. There's dogs and people everywhere, so I just got to go mute myself again, okay?
Okay, that's fine.
Okay, sorry.
All
Thanks.
right, no worries. So most of you know Kelly anyway, but as Deb said, all of the bios are in the group for those of you who want to know more. But today we have the lovely Anya Gore from Connected Souls. She's also one of our dearest mentors. And today she's going to be introducing something very special, which is her book. I've already got my copy. Amazon's quick. Life and Soul Dog. It's an animal communicator and her canine companion share their experiences and wisdom to help and inspire you. So, a beautiful book. I know that this is a project that has been going on for quite a while, and Anya is delighted to finally see it in print and out there. And today, Anya is going to be telling us a little bit about how this book came to be, why she decided to write it, what was the inspiration, and we're going to get a very, very special connection, a message, because Anya will connect with Zoe live during our session, who is now in spirit, and she's going to give us our group a message. So thank you and welcome, Anya.
Thank you. Thank you, Sue. What a nice introduction. And I'm a bit jealous. You've got a copy and I don't even have one. I've got this copy with the bar across it, and that's all. But anyway, what's inside is the same. And it's lovely to see all of you. And actually, I'm quite excited to see you, Deb, because I've never seen you. Although we're friends, friends on Facebook, I haven't seen you face to face before. So that's really nice. Yeah, so this book is has been sort of in the forefront of my mind and heart since, I would say, just before Zoe passed away. So Zoe passed away on the 21st of March 2022. And today's the 21st of June 2023. So it's funny, we're sort of 15 months on, almost exactly. And what happened was that as she was dying, and it was as you, if you read the book, it's all described in the book in quite some detail. She had been ill for a long time with leishmaniasis, and which some of you may know, it's an endemic disease to the south of Europe. transmitted by an infected phlebotome. I don't know if you say phlebotome in English, but anyway, it's a sand fly that can bite and pass on leishmaniasis or leishmania. And she had been suffering from it, we think, all her life. We adopted her when she was 5 years old from a shelter, and she no doubt had it before she came to us. And her whole illness and sort of descent through suffering and then coming up again, it was a long journey in itself, and we kind of really brought her back from the brink many times. And, you know, I fought tooth and nail to keep her as well as possible, and all of that. So that is that's the kind of background to the end of her life, the end of her physical existence. Of course, she exists very much in my reality, and she. So while she was dying, and you know, we were doing a lot of palliative care, talking about the person who's going to come and do the. I've got Aiko puppy making a big fuss next door, and I'm sorry, I hope it's not disturbing
Can't
things too
hear him.
much. We kind of really nursed her through till a point when it seemed that she really needed a helping hand, but I didn't rush into that, and I sort of talk about all of that a lot too. And so while she was dying, we started having these rather intense dialogues where she really pushed me to write stuff down, and we were speaking to each other, and she was more speaking to me and telling me things and plans and giving me advice and so on. And once she died, I started writing the book. So the book is written, it was written over quite a long time, and it's very much, it takes you with me as I go through the process of, you know, of my grief, really. So it's a sort of written in real time, if you like, over quite some months, and there are pauses and gaps, and then I come back to it, and then she's sort of pushed me to not forget to do it, because it was really important that we did this, that we got this book out, that we have things to teach together. Her wisdom, she really, really wanted it to come through, and we have a sort of we have a partnership beyond the grave, if you like, now. So it's a sort of she comes into lots of stuff that I do now. And of course, it was a cathartic experience to write it. It was, in some ways, a very beautiful experience, in some ways, quite difficult. But it kind of was constantly in the back of my mind whenever I took a pause from it or wasn't able to do much writing. She'd be there, kind of nudging me, or I'd look at her portrait. I have 4 beautiful portraits which are in the book by various people, some of whom you will know. Her portrait would look at me from the wall, and she kind of be boring into my soul, and to get on with it, don't forget. Not that I could have forgotten. So then once I'd written it, I did one draft and tweaked it a bit. I then didn't really know how to go further with publishing. I didn't want to go through a whole sort of writing school or publishing course or anything. So I found somebody who I knew, who is a dog trainer, and actually is also the artist who did the portrait on the front, of which is used on the front of the book. And she helped me, Beverly Courtney. She helped me because she has published herself many books. So she helped me along that path, and advised me how to do this, that, and the other. And it was a long and rather sort of stumbling journey at times. So it just feels, all of that to say that it feels a little bit surreal that it's actually there now, and it feels very fulfilling. It feels a relief. It feels very, very good to have really completed this, to have completed something, because in my life generally, as some of you may know. I'm very good at starting things and not always so good at finishing them. I tend to be very spontaneous. So this was very important for me to finish. And along with it, what she also did soon after she died was push me to create the Facebook group I've got, Life and Soul. Well, I had created it already. It's called Life and Soul Dog. It was about something else before. It was more about my partnership, sort of dog-human partnership with her before, but this now became something different. And so I have been sharing messages from her, and also my journey through ever since, from the moment she died, and the sort of grieving journey and so on. So that kind of runs parallel with the book in a way. So the book is now, much more detailed than what I bring out there. And what I bring out in the Facebook group is very in the moment. It's just in the moment stuff. And now I think we're going to be doing. I'm going to be sharing messages from her to help people. I'm going to be doing messages for people as part of what I'm going to do in that group, and maybe in this group I might offer it in my little space in this group. I'll see how it goes, or I don't quite know how that's going to unfold, but we'll see. For the moment, the book has only been out a few days. I'm trying to, this is the first time I'm talking about it, so it feels a little bit weird.
So, Anya, can I,
yeah.
when I haven't obviously finished it, I only got it today.
God,
But
no.
I've pulled out one or two chapters that took my eye. But what I really love about the format of it is that, it really is kind of a story of your life together. So you go through, situations. I'll just, name a few here: hunting, a well-traveled dog, shame, animal communication, thunderbolt, town life. So this is really incidences that happen during your life, or experiences that you've had, and then you write about them. But what I love is that you've sort of written your view, and then at the end of each chapter, Zoe comes in, and you've said to Zoe, well, what is your reflection on this? This is the way I see it as a human and the way I experienced it. What is your view on this? And I think that is profound, because that is like, it's always such a different perspective to something perhaps that we expect or that we see.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, in fact, what happened with the writing was that it was always going to be a book with her wisdom, her messages. It was me going to be channeling stuff from her, essentially. But when I started, I thought, well, I'll just write our story first as a kind of basic brief, and then I'll come in with all her stuff. But in fact, it didn't turn out like that, because the book you think you're going to write is often not the book that comes through you when you do write. And at least that's what I discovered, and I know it is true of others too. So yes, this is how it emerged. So my chapters all came to me just in a flash. I just wrote them down, and I never changed them. So it was. I didn't, in fact, rework the book very much. I edited it, and I did the editing myself, which was another, oh my God, another fun experience. But so yes, for each chapter, as soon as I started with a chapter, the heading, she came in. She came in with a comment. So that's a little quote at the beginning of each chapter about the subject of the chapter, and then she comes in during my storytelling as well with her comments and so on. And we do have a bit of chit chat between us as well. And at the end, there's always a message from her, which is a sort of life message, wisdom message, or whatever. So yes, so it's definitely our book, as I say it at the beginning. It's definitely our book. It's not just mine. I mean, we really wrote it together, and I guess I mean, it's very personal. Obviously, it's very raw, and it's extremely honest. So I am. As I say at the beginning, I sound quite hard on myself sometimes, and that's because I was hard on myself. I don't know that it's always. Some of it might not be very easy to read, because there's, it's a lot of self-reflection, and I try not to beat myself up, but there's a bit
Yeah.
of beating myself up that comes in. So it's just very honest about all the things that I did wrong, which of course she never sees as wrong, and all the things I learnt from those, let's say, divergences from what might have been the ideal path. And then as it goes on, the book becomes much more spiritual, I think, really, much more philosophical, and there's a lot of learning that she opened up for me, definitely.
Beautiful.
Um,
So one chapter that really stood out for me, which is it's the control and fear.
mm,
Because I just think, this is something we've all experienced, and I think you, as you say, you've written it really authentically, exactly as you felt it, exactly as
mm,
it was, and how you describe this. And I know just about everybody here, I'm sure, can all relate to this fear of needing to control things, because of our fear. So we feel we need to
mm,
train and do more and control more. So I wonder if you can just speak about that, because I know it's in everybody's hearts, it's everybody's experience,
mm,
and
mm,
how, Zoe's message, your human fear is so abstract, and mine was really merely real in the moment.
mm.
So maybe you can just talk about that one, Anya, if you can.
Yeah. I mean, I can't remember what I said now I'd have
Yeah.
to look, this is what happens for me, when I write or channel, then I don't always remember exactly what came through. But no, basically, yes. I mean, my life with her, because she presented so many problems as I saw them, and difficulties. Of course, I wanted to fix her, as we all have gone through that. And it can happen to me these days too with our puppy. So I have to be, careful to not get into that sort of knee-jerk, really, reaction to it. But yes, I had to control her. I felt I had to control her so much because of her running off on walks. Just the very fact that she was, certainly in the latter times, always on a lead, and the guilt I felt about it, and the all of that stuff. And yes, the fear is a projected, I think, fear that I had, and I think that we can all have, that we project onto our dogs in some sense, and we sort of rationalize it sometimes, that it's to keep them safe and to help them to fit into our world and our society. But there's underneath that, the fear is, I think, a fear of our own wildness, of our own lack of control. Of our own lack of control in our own lives, and around us, and for the world, and it's complex. So they certainly, I think, our dogs bring up. I mean, we always talk about them bringing up a mirror in lots of ways, but they being a mirror in lots of ways, but they bring up to the surface aspects of ourselves which we might just not access otherwise. That they kind of put a spotlight on something within us which isn't in harmony in some way. And I think between the control and fear, there's a lot. It's a complex subject. And I think with dogs, it's sort of incredibly intense. When we have cats, we don't even think of controlling them because they're free spirits, and we just accept that, and they live their lives, and we obviously protect them, and so on. And I've had cats all my life. In fact, I'm more of a cat person than a dog person, in fact, well, I say that, not really true, but as much cat as dog. And I don't know if that answers your question. I'm rabbiting, probably.
Yeah, no, but it
But
is. It's just as you say, it's a complex thing. And I think
mm,
it is certainly, it's been my experience, and I'm sure it is for everybody else, that our dogs mirror this to us, because at some stage, at some deep level, we all have that fear, and we have a need to control that fear, or to control the environment or the dog or whatever it is, in order so that we feel safe, and that, if we want others to feel safe, we want them to feel safe, but deep down it's about our own sense of safety.
Yes.
And yeah, so
And
it is a complex, yeah.
There's fear also. I think a lot of it with our dogs is fear of judgment from the outside, fear of, people saying, as someone said to me the other day about the puppy, control your dog, and you feel like shit when someone says that to you. Yeah, I think there's that fear. It's fear of judgment, fear of not being good enough, fear of obviously fear of something happening to your dog. Yes. I mean, there are concrete and real things that we need to protect around the whole situation with our dogs.
Yeah, so for any of those who've had time to delve into, was it the Reflect? Yes, it was in the Reflect tab that I opened. In that Reflect space, there is a lesson on that. So there's actually a lesson where we go into the different fears of, that we experience as being the dog parent. So yeah, it's a lot and it's deep. And I'll just read, I'm just going to read the first paragraph, because it was like, yes, indeed, so much of our fears exist through our imagination. And so much of mine with Zoe came through extrapolation, from extrapolating the possibilities of what might be. Living in the moment, sorry, my reading is really bad. Living in the moment to moment dread on a walk, that as soon as I let her off the lead, she'd scoot away into the distance, into the ether. And then Zoe comes in and she says, no, it's now it's now that I'm in the ether. I never was once. And on those walks, basically, she says, those were your limitations that you put on me. You forget my abilities. Did I ever get lost? So again, it's such a different perspective of, what our dogs think of why they need to be controlled, and that we think they'll get lost or hurt or do whatever.
Yes, absolutely. And I was aware, that I was restricting her freedom, of course. It all happened after one particular time when she went off for about 2 hours, and I went and collected her in the car. She had a GPS on her collar, and that day she started peeing blood, and then we had to rush her to the vet because she'd got herself overstressed in the heat, and that's when I stopped letting her off the lead, essentially, and because I came to accept that my state of mind and well-being mattered too. It wasn't all about her. It
Correct.
couldn't all be about
Correct.
her.
Yeah.
However, I did feel a regret about that, obviously. And when I was writing the book, I really felt at times, why didn't I just dare again? Why didn't I let her off the lead again? And, so.
But I think isn't that the lesson in the journey in itself, is finding that balance, between your needs and her needs, and and being able to both come to some kind of agreement or compromise, or not even a compromise. What do you call it in your you did a class on that for us, finding that.
Yeah, compromise.
It is compromise.
It was compromise. Yeah. So I think it's really interesting journey, but obviously all the comments and the way she writes the book with me, she's in a position, in a place now, in a state now, whatever you want to call it, of absolute connection to wisdom and pure love, and yet it comes through to me as the persona of Zoe, but so much more than the Zoe who lived with us, her very much her fuller self, her true self. And from her perspective, none of these things matter.
Or an issue or a problem.
None of it mattered. And all the mistakes as I saw them, mistakes and things I regretted, are as nothing to her now. And it really encourages me a lot. And still these days, if I talk to her a lot. I see her in the garden. She comes on walks with us. I don't need to connect. You said I'll be connecting with her. I don't need to connect. I'm connected with her. She's here. She's with me, and she was almost with a very special bright light in the garden earlier. So her perspective on all of these issues that were a problem for me in our life together is very comforting. And I think if we can take some of that into, and she really wanted for me that I do that I bring this wisdom and perspective really down into the 3D, into the day-to-day reality of our lives, not to just keep it as a sort of high-flying theory or idea that we go into when we meditate or something, but that I really remember it and truly forgive myself for my so-called mistakes. And interestingly, with our Aiko, our puppy, who is full of challenges, what I'm finding, and it's incredibly humbling, is that all I learned from Zoe and all the wisdom that I have, absorbed with her and from her, I'm coming through another cycle of many similar things, and finding another layer of challenge and another layer of acceptance and growth and so on. So I remember finding this long ago when I was a body worker for people, when I was a reflexologist and so on. The more I went through life and the more clients I had and patients and so on, the more I learned, the more I realized that I knew nothing. And so that is coming up to me again now. So I know nothing, and yet I have access to whatever I need. So there's that faith about that. So it's a kind of, I know nothing, and maybe I know everything.
Yeah, isn't that interesting? Like you say, because we feel like we've learned that now, we've done that lesson, we can tick that one off, and yet that's not the case, as we know. Either it's a different lesson, or I think as you say, it's a reminder to say you never really stop learning. Each dog, each situation is going to be different, and we just have to keep remembering that we're always learning, we're always doing something at a different level, and so to just keep going at that.
Yeah.
So at this stage, I'm going to open it up. I know Deb has written a book as well, a couple of books. Deb, you got 2, haven't you? How many books, Deb?
I've published 4.
4. I need to do, sorry.
But Anya, one of them is it's called Conversations with Gabe, and he was a puppy mill survivor that I rescued, and the book is his words that
wonderful
that I transcribed for him. So
I must get it.
So I can't wait to get your book.
Thank you.
So I'm sure you will also agree that, Deb, it's probably, I would still, mine is, I have my 10 chapters laid out. They have been there for a year, and that's as far as it got. But I think it's something very special to be able to write about a dog, about a journey. Not only is it a healing in itself and a reflection in itself, but it's so beautiful to be able for other people to resonate with that and to realize that, although we have a unique journey with our dogs, there's so many similarities of the kind of lessons and experiences we go through. Yeah,
absolutely.
Very special. Does anybody have any questions for Anya at this stage? Or anyone want to ask anything? Or... No? Everyone shy?
I talk so much that no one dares open their mouths.
So, well, Anya, tell us, obviously that, as you said, it was a book written by you and Zoe, that you wanted to be able to share these lessons so that others could, so that you could help others and others could learn from this and gain from this. So if there was maybe one message from you and one message from Zoe that you would like to share with us today.
Well, I think my message would be kind to yourselves. Be kind to yourselves with whatever you're trying to do and things that perhaps aren't going the way you'd like, and remember the bigger picture of it all. But, you know, this is just another experience in the end. That's my message. And I think Zoe's message is about belief. That's what she's saying to me. Believe in the utmost truth of who you are, and the whys and wherefores don't matter one bit. That's what she's just said to me. So I think that, yes, and she's saying it's to get out of our heads, to get out of our analysis, to get out of this sort of, you know, jungle that we create with our minds. And yeah, she's saying to me, breathe the air, feel the earth, feel the elements, and see your heart as it expands into the wind, into the sky, into the earth, and know that the connection between us all is the most real thing on this earth. And she's also saying to me that she feels she's emitting this kind of glow of contentment and happiness that this community exists, actually, that all of us, more, let's say, enlightened or open-minded beings, human beings, are coming together to improve the world for her species, really. And she's saying it's much needed, and even though as souls we are beyond species, so the connection is beyond that. But so I think she's feeling a sense of gratitude and happiness about that as well.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Beautiful. So Anya, going forward, you know, as you say, you have your Life and Soul group, and I hope that you will do some little things into our group as well. To, you know, wouldn't it be amazing if you could go through chapter by chapter and just, you know, pull it out and
that I was
expand
thinking
on it, and, you know, have discussions around it, because I think there's just so much value in all of that.
Yes, I was thinking something like that would be good. I thought it would be nice if no one has any questions, I could what I want to do is ask Zoe just to choose something from the book, and then I want to expand on that for a minute. Would you like that?
That would be lovely.
Okay. There. I'm just going to ask her, so will you just choose where I'm going to open it and what we're going to see? Okay. Okay. Oh, God. This is chapter 39, which is Pressing Into Me. And it was a very, very, very kind of special moment. So I'll read what she said at the beginning. She said at the beginning of the chapter, "The feel of your body against mine gave me such reassurance and safety. And I still remember that so well and can feel it again when I need to. Not that I need it now exactly, but I still love to feel it." So she can come, and she's really with me, wow, incredibly powerfully now. She can come from her state of spirit and just densify herself enough to have a memory and a sensation of some of the physical experiences that she enjoyed with me. And this chapter is very special to me. And I don't know if you can see it. There's a picture. The black and white pictures are kind of medium. Some of them are not the best quality, but this is her just pressing into the side of my leg. And it was some short time before she died. And her message at the end of that chapter is sharing your love means growing your love. And that was a moment, which I describe it in that chapter, where we were one morning just in the garden and she was just standing there pressing into me. She always loved to press into me. And we just stood there for a long moment. It was one of those timeless moments where we were just completely in harmony, just standing there in the early morning out here, in our rather wild garden. And it was a winter morning. And there was a sense of complete oneness with the whole universe. It was so powerful. And just talking about it now, I can conjure it up. And what she's saying to me now for everybody here is, remember that you do have the power to conjure up, to relive special moments in your lives. That the fact that they are not now anymore doesn't mean that they are not there anymore. Doesn't mean that they're not real anymore. So use those moments as a reminder of who you are, as a comfort to you. Use them when you're feeling low. Allow yourself to bring them into your consciousness and remember that the memory of them is as real as they were in that moment, because time doesn't exist in the way we think it does in our, earthly existence. So it's yeah, that's what she wants to say. She's all about bringing comfort, love, and allowing us to, and helping us to open up the love that we are, the love that we are.
It's beautiful. Beautiful. And it just reaffirms something that I love to talk about and teach, and that is that, if we can, it's so strong just to recall a memory, and using all our senses, we can really feel into that moment again. We can capture that sense of safety and calmness and oneness. And we feel it physically. So it's not just a memory. We can really feel that physically. And like Zoe said, it is almost transporting yourself back to that moment, right? Because if there is no time, we can put ourselves in that moment. And what a powerful way to suddenly switch. If you're in a state of discomfort or not feeling calm or regulated, I don't think there's a quicker way of doing that than just transporting yourself quickly to something that, a special moment like that can be a really, really powerful and quick way to just switch your state really quickly. So thank you, Zoe.
Yeah.
Anything else? Everyone's so quiet. I see there's a chat message. Let me see. Thank you. That was from Deb earlier. Fabulous. Congratulations, Anya. So yes, it is very big congratulations to you, Anya, on getting your book out and getting it published. And I look forward to all the lessons and teachings that come from that. But I don't want to end now. If there's anybody else that wants to ask, comment, say anything, Gunhild?
Just very much appreciation for these messages. I look forward to reading the book, and just every time you share something from you and Zoe, or you or Zoe, I just feel a sense of just peace. So
thank you, Linda.
I appreciate that.
Thank you very much. Well, that's wonderful. I mean, that's my hope. It's a vulnerable thing to write a book that's so personal as mine is, and raw. And you do think, oh, is anyone going to be interested? And you have sorts of processes and doubts that you go through. And I just hope that even if it touches some who, even if it touches few people, but it does touch them in some way and brings some kind of comfort, and maybe inspiration, then that will make me happy. Yeah. So thank you very much for that.
I know there's going to be lots of questions once having read it, but I haven't read it yet. So I just ordered it while you've been talking. I've been dragging my feet because I knew it was going to be raw. And I'm right behind you.
So you're a little worried about reading it.
I'm right behind you. I'm like 3 months behind you. So
oh.
Yes, I knew it was going to be raw, and I knew it was going to be really personal.
Yeah, I try not to make it embarrassingly personal, don't worry.
I think that's very what's the word for that? Yeah, it's escaping me right now, but that's on a spectrum, right?
Yes, yeah. I mean, it's I know that there will be lots that many people can relate to. And yeah, I mean, I think it's so hard for me I can't really analyze the book, as I said, when I wrote it, when I write, I effectively channel, even if I'm not channeling her words. Writing is a flow, isn't it? It's a type of channeling. So and that's why I don't always remember what did I say in what chapter. What?
Listen, in a
Even
couple
though
of months you'll be able to recite the entire book.
Yes.
You would have talked about it so much.
But also, my brother-in-law is actually a writer. I mean, he's written many, many, many books, and he's I understand that actually. When he writes his book, he then doesn't even like all the promoting of it. He just wants to get on with the next one. He doesn't. It's finished. It's gone. So I don't feel that about this, because this is like a really. It's almost like it's not a life's work exactly, but it's a complete thing about a part of my life, put it that way. And so it feels I don't want to just forget it, and no, of course not, and get on to the next one. No, but it's yeah, it is vulnerable. And then the whole thing about talking about yourself, and I'm not really British, but I was born in England, so there's that Britishness in me, slight sort of not wanting to push yourself down people's throats too much. Talking about yourself is not always so comfortable, but I do.
Well, I think it's something we all need to get over, because it's it's storytelling, right? It's just telling stories, whether we tell it about ourselves or whether we tell it about other people or other things. It's just it's a story, and it's always valuable.
Yeah. Well, I hope so. It will be to some people, I know that.
It will.
It won't be for everyone.
And for those who don't, for those who doesn't resonate, they don't need to buy it.
No, absolutely. No, nobody needs to buy it, but I'd be delighted if you did, obviously. Oh, hello, Tracy. What's happening here?
Tracy says, Anya, it's so lovely to see you talking about you and Zoe. It helps me to feel so connected to all the dogs and cats that have been in my life.
Oh,
thank
nice.
Thank you both for sharing such beautiful words of wisdom.
Thank you, Tracy. Thank you.
And I think Gunhild wanted to say something or ask a question.
Yeah, I'm a little bit in a dilemma, because there's somebody around the house and Barney is telling me I have to watch out. There's somebody, so he might be barking. First of all, I wanted to say that I love what I hear. It touches me. It touches my heart. And I definitely want to read the book.
Thank you.
That's one thing.
Thank you.
And my question is profane. Did you choose the name Zoe because of its significance? It's what it means in Greek?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes and no. Well, actually, the story is when we met her at the shelter, she was actually named Josie. That wasn't her original name. They had saved her from a bad situation a month before. They'd given her a name. And when my husband saw her, he said, "No, she's not Josie. She's Zoe." He actually said, "She's Zoe." And I just said, "Yes, absolutely right." And then, of course, yes, Zoe means life in Greek. And so there is a play on words with the title of the book, which is also the title of my group, Life and Soul Dog. So life, because Zoe means life. And, there's the phrase life and soul of the party. So she wasn't life and soul of the party, but she was very much within the center of our lives. So in that sense, yeah. So that's where the title comes from, and so her name definitely has resonance and significance.
So
Yes.
Zoe actually means life. I didn't know that.
Zoe in
Oh,
Greek, Zoe, I don't know how it's
Yeah.
pronounced.
Yeah.
Zoe means life.
Life.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because she's still there. So that's why I thought it
Yes.
makes complete sense.
Yes,
She is
definitely.
life.
Yeah.
She is, yes, and she's here. Well, sometimes, she says, when you say something or we discuss something, then she comes really strongly into me. So she's now very strongly, yes, when you said that, she's saying, yes, 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 yes.
Beautiful.
Thank you.
Thank you, Gunhild. Thank you very much.
Great. Anyone else? I think we've all had a little say, everyone that's here anyway. So Anya, I'm going to leave it at that then and say thank you, thank you, thank you very much. It's been really wonderful. I can't wait
You're
to read the
welcome.
rest of
Thank
the
you.
chapters and hear more about it as it unfolds. And for those of you who missed the live, the replay, I will post it. I will post it into it like a post in the main feed so that people can ask questions or comment on to the bottom of that. All right, so it'll be in a post in the main feed, and it'll also be in the recordings of all our Zoom meetings. Good.
Okay, thank you, Sue,
All
so
right, so
much
thank you
for getting
again.
me
Thanks,
on.
Anya. And thank you everybody for being here. And we look forward to the next time we meet again. Thank you. Take
Thank
care,
you.
everyone. Have a
Bye,
great day.
everyone.
Bye now.
Bye.